106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Good evening, Chicago. Hi, I'm Deep Dish Pizza enthusiast Edward Heller, and welcome to Taco Tuesday on Chicago Corner. Jerry Vassilatos has the night off. I've sent him on a secret mission, and I've said too much. So while I get all the little doohickeys rolling on here, like that little crawl across the screen, I want to thank all of our Patreon supporters. And if you'd like to support us on Patreon, head over to patreon.com/Chicago Corner. So let's see who's in the live chat this morning. This morning. That's how fried my brain is right now after working a 9 to 5. It is evening, ladies and gentlemen. 7:32 p.m. Central Standard Time, I think. Or is it daylight time? Do we call it daylight time after the daylight savings that we don't really have? I think that's what it is. So yeah, welcome Arturo. Hello, Kathy Powers. Yes, Arturo, there is a giant meatball behind me, but he lives here. And I'm going to get rolling with the stories here. Some of these are a little serious, and I'm going to do my best to get through them here. We have some stuff going on in the city, and as you know, may be aware, sometimes crowds of teens like to make plans and head downtown and gather over the weekends when the weather's nice. And I would like to lean toward the idea that most of the time they don't have bad intentions. Sometimes you'll have groups of kids who take advantage of that type of a situation to do bad things. So I wouldn't lump all of them into the same group, but then again, there's a lot of crazy shenanigans going on, and also there's a lot of inequality going on. So how do we get past all of this? I don't have all the answers, but what we'll try to do tonight is at least cover how some of the local media is looking at this and how some of the people on social media are reacting to it, how some of our politicians are reacting to it. And then we'll see what we can talk about going forward. And also I'm going to check in with you in the live chat to see how you guys feel about it, because sometimes you feel like you're in over your skis on some of these stories. This is one for me, but I'm going to try. So we're going to start here. This is a story from Block Club Chicago. And as I mentioned, there's this thing. It is called, hang on one second. I'm back. Okay. There is this thing called trends. And after doing a little research, what I've come to understand it trends being that, and mostly it's happening with teens, is that they set up a thing on social media They say, look, we're all going to meet, like the weather's nice, for instance, we're all going to meet downtown at this location and do whatever. Most of the times it's just, let's just hang out and talk and enjoy the weather. This time things happened. So as you can see in this headline, this is not the only violence that occurred during the weekend, but I'm going to start here. 3 teens wounded in shootings as large groups gathered downtown at 31st Street Beach this weekend. As the weather, and this is from Kaylee Padar of Block Club. As the weather warms up, large groups of teens gather downtown, but the meetups have also seen violence in past years, fueling debate among officials over how and when people gather. Downtown. 2 teens were wounded in shootings downtown and a third on the near south side this weekend as large groups gathered. The gatherings came as Chicago saw 70 and 80 degree weather. That didn't stick around. We had snow the other day. And many people gathered outside. Videos on social media showed hundreds of young people gathered Friday night near 31st Street Beach, and other videos showed more large groups of people Saturday night downtown. Now, this story is from, when is this one from? This one is from yesterday. I just wanted to go through a few different stories here just to give you kind of the setup here. Okay, there will be more details, and you guys can check the links to the show notes, which I'll try to have all the stories in there. I believe most of them are in there already, but as these are developing stories, I may have to add a few after the fact. But I wanted to start with this one just to give you the basic thing that's going on. It says, but some of the gatherings were marked by violence. Shortly before 9 p.m. Friday, a 14-year-old boy was shot in his left thigh near 3100 block of Lakeshore Drive, according to police. He was taken to Comer Children's Hospital in fair condition. And at about 9 p.m. Saturday, a 16-year-old boy was shot in his right arm, and a 17-year-old boy was shot in his left leg in the first block of East Washington Street. Okay, those were the shootings that happened. There were also some assaults. Some people took advantage of the situation, and I think a Walgreens got looted. A bunch of people jumping on cars and smashing windows and damaging property. The kind of things that can sometimes happen when you get a group of teens who don't have fully formed brains together. So again, I'm not coming at this from a perspective of racism. I'm coming at this from a perspective of these are kids. Okay. Other people will come with that perspective, and or at least the seeming perspective of that. And we'll get into that as I switch over. We're going to switch to some video right now. But before I do, let's jump into the chat really quick and see what you guys are all saying here. Okay. Yes, we covered the meatball incident. Okay. Kathy says, yes, Central Daylight Time we're currently on, so CDT, 7:39 for anyone wondering. Downtown has become a horrible place. Used to be cool there in the late 80s and early 90s, Arturo said. Yeah, I mean, you know, there was some dangerous stuff going on then, but it was definitely a different vibe. Hello, Extra Bullo. Welcome to the show. Kathy says, my live chat is displaying below the show. Can I change that? If you're on YouTube, there should be a little thing where you can click to pop out the chat into a separate window, if that's what you're talking about. JR says, things like this have been going on for decades, not just in Chicago, and some you don't hear about. Yeah. This is, I mean, they're focusing on this, and I'll have a little more to say about it after we get a little further in the story, because we know a lot of the comments that end up in the media are political comments, and some of it has to do with a dislike of Lori Lightfoot, who is still the mayor, by the way, until I think May 15th. So you'll hear stupid stuff like people blaming Brandon Johnson for this. He's not even mayor yet, guys. So that's just my Cliff Notes version of some of the stuff I'm try to remember to talk about later, although my ADHD will kick in and I'll get distracted by a squirrel running past me or a meatball behind me. How'd he get there? But we'll try. We're going to keep going. Okay. Arturo says, any gathering will get bad if it gets big and unorganized. A meetup just means let's do some bad in code. Okay. Thank you for that perspective. I didn't realize that sometimes that's what that means. I can't imagine everyone considers a meetup to be that. Although, you know, I might be a little sheltered as far as some of the experiences I've had in my lifetime. Plus, I understand my privilege, so I'm trying to cover it. We'll see what everybody else is saying, especially the media. The media likes to sensationalize a lot of this stuff because they lean toward authority on their narratives, and you'll see that in some of the videos I'm going to play. Okay. So, yeah, Kathy said teens always hang out. Unfortunately, they don't have safe places to gather. Yeah, that's part of it, I think. I don't know what you mean by, Extra Bull is asking if Jerry's still digitally ostracized. He's asked, Jerry was having internet upstream connection problems on Friday, or actually it was last Tuesday, which is why I ended up doing an impromptu solo show last Tuesday because Jerry's stream was crapping out on him. I believe he's resolved that issue, but he's dealing with some other issues technical wise, but that's not why he's off tonight. He had a previous commitment that he is attending, and also that mission I have him on, which I'm still not supposed to talk about. But yeah, let's switch over to video here. This one is from, who is this from? ABC7. Their title says, unruly crowds, quote, unacceptable, but don't demonize youth, according to the mayor-elect. So yeah, we did. This was from a day ago, and so we got quotes from Lori Lightfoot and Brandon Johnson in this one. But let's hear how ABC7 covered this.
Video, Val and Tanya, those videos have now gone viral. Large, rowdy crowds jumping on cars, jumping on CTA buses. This morning, dozens of people were arrested and 2 teenagers were shot. Chaos along Michigan Avenue during
chaos. Yeah, they like to do. They'll like chaos, or I heard one media outlet go pandemonium, which I think literally means like world of demons. And I'm like, you know, okay. Fair enough. There's a lot of crazy teens downtown on the weekend. So yeah, I suppose you could have a little bit of I don't know what the hell you call it, but just get a little excited about it.
A beautiful spring night. Large crowds of young people captured on cell phone video running around creating a major disturbance near Millennium Park.
When I came back, this whole area was lined with, this street was blocked off by a wall of police the next block.
The groups running around jumped on cars.
Okay, come on. You're going to jump on a car and twerk. Come on, at least have some music playing.
CTA buses and weaved in and out of oncoming traffic. Then a shooting. Police confirmed 2 teenagers were shot near Michigan and Wabash. A 16-year-old boy was shot in the arm and a 17-year-old boy was shot in the leg.
We've had it almost every year, and I just think the police feel that they don't have support from the mayor and stuff to really do what they have to do.
Both may.
Excuse me, do what they have to do, lady? What exactly does that mean to you? You know what? I don't want to know. Could they have gotten the more whiter woman to comment on all the African American youth who have come down into the city, and then comment about what the cops need to do, and thinking that their hands are tied? You don't think they're going to do what they want to do? They're pretending that their hands are tied. and there's probably a number of reasons for that. My guess would be A, they're still not fans of Lightfoot, who is still the mayor. And B, they feel like if they let things get out of control, it's going to look bad for the next mayor. And so, okay, mission accomplished to the dimwit media that wants to frame it that way. But that's what happens. You get corporate dimwit media who are just going to try and frame it for authority and make everything about, oh my God, they're violent animals and they'll never stop. And so even if this were a peaceful assembly completely, they would still do this. But we know there were some shootings. We know there were some assaults. We know there were some things that happened violently or whatever. I'm not going to go through all the details. Some of the stories, some of the details will be covered in some of the videos we're going to watch today, but you can find a lot of that stuff on the local news channel media feeds. I don't want to saturate this show with a whole bunch of just fear mongering. But again, we got to show what the media is showing. So we'll go on.
What they have to do.
Both Mayor Lori Lightfoot and Mayor-elect Brandon Johnson responded to the violence.
This is not the first time that we've addressed these issues, but our young people have an opportunity and a right to enjoy the entirety of our city, but they have to do it in a way that is respectful for people and property. And we did address that over the weekend, and we will continue to address it.
Mayor-elect Johnson called the activity, quote, unacceptable, and went on to say, quote, it is not constructive to demonize youth who have otherwise been starved of opportunities in their own communities. The president and CEO of Chicago's Loop Alliance, representing downtown businesses, also released a statement saying in part, quote, we are saddened by the events that occurred in the Loop yesterday evening, and we are prepared to work with all relevant partners and parties in response to when these trends are detected. It was
okay. That was a lot right there. To be fair to Mayor Lightfoot, her rhetoric is often decent. It's just her actions are not always up to par. That response was probably as good as it was going to get from her, or really any mayor having to deal with this right now. Brandon Johnson is trying to look forward in the future as to causes of that. So you have both sides of that coin that you have to deal with right now. You cannot just let crime happen, but you also have to deal with a lot of the community sources of that crime. But let me go a little further into this, and then we'll switch to some other pieces of this continuing story.
Wasn't just here in the Loop. Similar problems took place at 31st Street Beach that also ended in violence. A 14-year-old boy was shot in his thigh. In the end, 15 people were arrested. Police say no one is in custody related to those shootings. What?
Okay, no one's in custody related to those shootings. Okay, then we have things like, let me make sure I got all the links I got here. Okay, yeah, this is the one I want. Okay. Keith Judge from Optimist Press is retweeting Alderman Raymond Lopez. And I hate to say it, but I think this is going to be a Ray Lopez show, because he's trying to get everyone's attention right now. I'm not really sure why, but it starts with this. Now, Keith Judge, let me read what Ray Lopez says in his tweet first, and then we'll read what Keith Judge said in his quote retweet. This was on the 16th. This was 2 days ago. He says, enough with the damn excuses. Just like the flash mob shoplifting and street racing takeovers, wilding is what he calls it, and that's a dog whistle, by the way, is only the latest in social media fueled events orchestrated by adults targeting our youth. Okay, I don't know where he's getting that from. He thinks adults are putting the teens up to this. All I can think is, and if that's the case, which adults and what is their motive, Ray? Or are you just pulling this out of thin air? He's just making stuff up now. He's saying Chicago police need to focus specialized social media units to go after organizers now. Now, what if, and this is a big what if hypothetical here, what if CPD is the one who are the adults putting the kids behind this? What if someone at CPD is creating an anonymous social media account and putting the word out on social media to tell kids to all show up downtown and raise hell? I'm just saying, what if? You think they're trying to do that for job security? I don't know. Maybe you should be asking that question, Ray Lopez. Anyway, so here's Keith M. Judge from Optimist Press. He says, here's fascist Alder R. Lopez of the 15th Ward using a racial epithet he heard on Fox News, Wilding, to describe African-American children while calling for additional funding for CPD and FOP to spy on Chicagoans' online activity. You think they're not doing that already? Come on. Come on, Ray. All right. So we're going to move to the next video here. But before I do, let's see what you are saying in the chat here. Okay. Yes. Yes, Warren, it's going to be a crazy summer. Speaking of crazy summer, I think it's, is it still spring? I don't know. The weather's been weird. Was it like 48 now? It was 80 degrees over the weekend. Crazy. Okay. Yeah, Kathy. Our internet companies, our internet service providers, they're very unreliable for upstream, and I think it's intentional, to be honest with you. What's happening, if you're not aware, is a thing called throttling, and some of it has to do with the available bandwidth that is in certain areas providing internet service. And certain companies, they cheap out on that stuff by they give you all the download speeds you want to stream your movies and stuff. But when it comes for anybody who wants to stream a live show, it's they have certain times of day where they restrict your uploads. So to where you could have maybe a 10 or 20 megabit upload speed most of the day, all of a sudden the sun goes down and it cuts down to 2 or 3 megabits, and you're like, what the hell's going on? And you think it's your hardware. You think maybe there's an outage nearby. No, there's some algorithm. Yes, another algorithm. Algorithms are the bane of the streamer's existence, ladies and gentlemen, in case you weren't aware. There are these computer programs or preset computer settings that decide how much bandwidth are we going to let Chicago have in this ward tonight at this between this hour and the other hour. So I always have to check my internet upload speed right before the show. And fortunately, if you guys can tell me if I'm crapping out over there, but I think my stream's pretty good right now. And I'm not talking about the quality of the content. I'm still feel like any minute now I'm going to drive off into a ditch, but we'll keep going. So yeah. Okay. Kathy says, don't be fair to Mayor Mayhem. Hashtag Mayor Mayhem. Okay. Look, I'm going to be fair when it's fair to be fair. And you can quote me on that. Kathy says Raylo needs to move to Palos Heights. I don't know. I think it's kind of going to get kind of crowded there when Paul moves back there. Okay, Jimmy, welcome to the show. 4 Black Hearts is good, right? Oh, she says I'm on fire tonight. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Kathy, 19 up is actually decent for streaming. You should be fine. I mean, if you wanted to come on the show as a guest sometime, and by the way, that's going to be one of the perks, I think, of our Patreons. If you're donating at least $5 a month, to our Patreon, you have the opportunity to be a guest on our show. I believe Jerry, Kira, and I decided on once a month if you want to. So, Kathy, if you want to, you can let us know when you'd like to be a guest on the show. We'll have you on. 19 megabit upstream is actually decent. That's faster than the one I'm using right now. So, okay. So let's get into this video. Here's Fox 32, and they got their own angle on this. And like I said, this was going to be the Ray Lopez show.
A lot of people are asking after teens ran rampant downtown this weekend is who is in charge?
If we have that convention and violence is allowed to reign on our streets once again, we can't afford to take that chance.
One city council veteran warns that outbursts of downtown violence, like we saw last weekend, threaten to do enormous damage to Chicago's tourism and hospitality industry. It was the city's largest private employer before the pandemic.
Our political editor, Mike Flannery, joins us now with...
Okay. I guess it's fair to have a concern about the tourism industry and local businesses if these types of assemblies are going to affect that, and that is a good part of your city's revenue. But they're so hyper focused on that on a daily basis, or at least they have been in city council and the last several mayors in this city, that it's like they're so focused on that it didn't occur to them that, you know, maybe we should take care of the people, and then we wouldn't have to deal with these types of things, because a lot of these people would have a lot more of the things they need and not be motivated to go downtown and potentially mug somebody or loot a store or whatever. Just saying.
With more, Michael.
Anthony and Natalie, Alderman Brian Hopkins notes the social media that summoned hundreds of young people to 3 consecutive nights of chaos last Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Chaos.
Now promising a part 2 this weekend. Alderman.
Okay, who's promising a part 2? Some rando on social media is telling you, oh, if you think you liked it bad, if you think it was bad this time, just wait till next weekend. You have no idea who said that. So you're just going to take it at face value. What kind of journalist are you? I'm an independent media commentator on a tiny little YouTube channel, and I can see the problem with what you just said. Why can't you?
Alderman Ray Lopez says police cannot afford to be taken by surprise again.
And it was a complete breakdown of leadership in the department for not having a plan, not knowing how to execute containment, and not getting those individuals who were committed to acts of violence. And
does this guy look super giddy to be on television talking about this? Am I the only one seeing that? Is it like he's super happy to be getting one more shot in at Lightfoot because it's police reaction or response or crime or anything happening out of the ordinary while she's still the mayor? That's what I'm seeing. You don't, I mean, it's not a facial tick, right? I'm not just seeing things. He really looks like he's super thrilled to be on television to talk about how the city's falling apart.
Disrupting life in the city of Chicago, extricating them from the situation.
The 15th Ward's Lopez and other officials say that since police lacked enough manpower to arrest organizers of the violence.
Lacked enough manpower. Now, I'm just going to say, I'm going to call bullshit on that. They've got enough manpower. They chose, I believe, this is my opinion, that they're just choosing to let this stuff happen. And I will follow that up with why when we get to the next video.
Last weekend, there are now posts such as this on social media boasting that part 2 will convene this
Here
Saturday.
he's repeating that same thing again. What evidence do you have? Who's saying this?
At various points downtown. The downtown Second Ward's Brian Hopkins notes that tens of thousands of jobs are at stake in hotels, restaurants, and entertainment venues, many of whose patrons are already reluctant to come downtown, especially in the evening. He wants police and State's Attorney Kim Foxx to use every tool they have.
Every tool they have. Okay. All right. We don't need any more of this video. We're going to jump. Okay. We got to jump to the next part, and it's not super happy, fun time either. But again, these are developing stories. This was published today from Block Club, Chicago. Woman and man attacked by group downtown video shows. It was absolutely random. The woman and man said in an interview they were downtown to shop and dine when they came across a large group. A good Samaritan helped the couple get to a hospital, they said. This comes from Melody Mercado of Block Club Chicago from this afternoon. Woman and man were attacked downtown by a group of people over the weekend, according to an interview with the couple after video of the incident circulated on social media. The 20-second video posted online labeled, quote, brag tape, and first reported by crime blog CWB. Yeah, we've used them as a source before. Shows a large group of people surrounding a woman and man in a doorway at 129 North Wabash and punching and kicking toward them as someone screams. At about 8 p.m. Saturday, a 20-year-old woman and 22-year-old man were walking in the 100 block of North Wabash when a group of unknown people approached them, according to police. People from the group hit the couple several times before taking their belongings and running away. Now, they're quoting police, but there's actual video. So it's like the police are watching the video and saying what happened. This isn't police just telling you whatever. So yeah, I'm gonna just jump in the comments really quick so I don't get too far ahead here. But yeah, okay. Miguel also wondering if four black hearts is good, or he's laughing at me asking the question. Chicago has to get used to being a bad city to hold any events in downtown. I don't know what that means, Arturo. Yeah, Kathy's like, OMG, it'll tarnish NASCAR. Yeah. Miguel sees it too. Ray Lopez was way too giddy in that interview. Okay. All right. Yes, Kathy Powers confirming that what many of us know, that mass media, corporate media is garbage. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Virend is calling out that BS with the social media too. Organizees, are you kidding me? Yeah. Okay. All right. So, we're at 8 o'clock. Okay. So we're just steaming along here on the show. Again, if you're just joining us, this is a heck of a story to get through, but I think it's important to cover it. It's about the teen, what we call trends in the city, where a lot of teens will coordinate on social media and decide to show up at a place. Sometimes there aren't nefarious intentions, but it looks like this time around there may have been a group or groups that decided that this was an opportunity to just do whatever they wanted. And I'm not going to paint with a super broad brush, though, because I know sometimes teens just want to go downtown and have fun. Now, I would not suggest having fun is smashing cars and beating other people up and possibly brandishing weapons or firing them, but maybe there's a small minority of teens that do. I don't condone that. Just saying. All right. So this story here, I believe it's in the show notes. they do cover it in this WGN video, which I'm going to play right now. So we're not going to read through all of that.
A visit to Chicago turned into a terrifying ordeal for one woman. She and her boyfriend were downtown on Saturday when they were attacked by a mob of teens.
And WGN's Dana Revick spoke with her and the Good Samaritan who jumped in to help, and she's joining us live with more details. Dana?
Well, this woman is in town from South Carolina visiting her boyfriend. The two of them decided to head downtown on Saturday to enjoy the beautiful weather and the city when they wound up victims of this brutal attack.
We got done shopping and we were hungry, so we went to go look for some food, and we encountered like a huge group of people, probably 60, maybe more.
Ashley Knutson and her boyfriend went downtown Saturday afternoon. A few hours later, around 6 p.m., they were in the 100 block of Wabash when they were assaulted and robbed, as several large groups of teens converged in the loop, jumping on cars and buses, kicking passing cars.
It appears that they're all using the same group of video clips from an independent source. We saw that kid twerking on the car a little earlier.
And smashing vehicle windows.
He turned around, he said, "Who pushed her?" And immediately, as soon as he said that, they went crazy. "I'm gonna kill you." Like,
okay, I'm just gonna stop and break this up because I know WGN is showing this here, but I just want to let you know that this is not cool, and it appears to be a group assault in progress. So I'm hoping that WGN is going to cover up anything that we should not be seeing here, because I don't want us getting the stream pulled for this.
like, started beating on him. They pulled me to the ground.
Video posted to social media shows the mob attacking the couple on the sidewalk. The worst part, Knutson says, was the helpless feeling that came when she saw a CPD squad car drive right by.
He's on one side getting jumped, and the cops almost avoided him to drive past. And I was just bewildered, like, he didn't even stop.
I literally...
Okay, Kathy, I don't know if you're talking about the video we're showing right now, but this happened this weekend. This was not from last year. But I would not be surprised if it's happened before. So I'm going to back this up just a little bit here.
And the cops almost avoided him to drive past. And I was just bewildered, like, he didn't even stop.
I literally...
Yeah. Did you hear that part where she said that the cops just kind of drove past? Remember how earlier I was talking about how maybe they want something like this to get out of control? The CPD I'm talking about, they're looking for job security, or they're looking to make the mayor look bad, or they're trying to fearmonger people into continually overfunding the CPD. That's my take. You can have a different opinion on that. But I'm just saying, it's just kind of interesting that the way that media is framing some of this stuff, and the way that and the way we're hearing what some of the witnesses are saying. So, I can't speak to this, but I think Kathy's seeing it too. She says it stinks of FOP. I don't want to be anti-cop, okay? I think there is a place for public safety if they know what de-escalation means, and if they know how to interact with the rest of the social services and the rest of the community. So I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole again tonight. Jerry and I have spent plenty of time talking about this stuff in previous episodes. But again, we're covering the story. We're looking at how the rest of the media is looking at this, and we're getting the information as I can find it. So, like I said, some of it is video, some of this is social media things. but we'll get through this. And I want to thank you for sticking with me on this, because this is a rough one for me. This is not usually the type of story I try to talk about here, but it's something we got to talk about. So here it is.
Literally stopped and put my hands up in front of the squad car, like stop, and was motioning them over to the side where it was happening. And they looked and drove around me and kept going.
Who did stop was Lenora Dennis. She was also driving by and saw what was happening and jumped out to help.
I didn't want to leave them out there stranded.
Dennis told the couple to run into the Macy's store. Employees locked the doors and they hid inside until the group left.
Okay, I do not miss the irony of that one kid wearing the sweatshirt that says antisocial social club. I don't miss that. Okay, I'm seeing it too. Another thought has occurred to me, and while I don't want to continually painting things with the broad brush, I can imagine the possibility that some CPD officers may be having difficulties dealing with these types of crowds because of how they had to interact with crowds during the George Floyd protests that happened in the city. You remember those, the ones where the mayor ordered them to raise the bridges to protect downtown and all the shops from the people who were protesting, rioting, some of them looting. So I mean, maybe there's a mental shell shock type component going on here with some of the CPD, but honestly, I'm being real charitable there. But I would be remiss to not mention that has crossed my mind.
She's godsend. Thank you so much. I don't know what I would do without you. I don't know where I would be. I could be dead right now.
Meanwhile, downtown Saturday night, police arrested 15 people, mostly for reckless conduct.
Yeah.
2 teens were also
Kathy.
shot in the 100 block of East Washington around 9 p.m.
Get your children, because they're out there jumping on cars, damaging multiple vehicles. It could go bad either way. There were a couple of people out there with guns that I saw in the crowd.
We had everything taken from us. I couldn't call anybody. I couldn't even call the police. I couldn't do anything. They should just stop. We needed your help, and they weren't there.
The victims had their phones and Apple Watch, wallets, and purse stolen. Lenora Dennis ended up driving them first to the hospital. She then brought them to the police station so they could file a report, and then ended up driving them back home.
She's a little miracle dog. I got her when I was.
She is a real miracle dog, but that we're not watching that ad. But thank you. Okay. Yes. Hello to Extra Bulla watching us on Rockfin as well. Thank you for joining us over there. Did I tell you guys that we're also streaming on Rockfin? Yeah. Now I have. All the streaming platforms we're currently streaming to are, you're probably joining us on YouTube, which is where most of our live chat interaction happens, but also we're streaming to Facebook. We're streaming to, I think, Jerry's LinkedIn account. Yeah. Oh, cool. All right. We're streaming to Twitter, and we're streaming to Rockfin. So thank you for whoever's watching us on any of those platforms. If you're watching us on a platform other than YouTube or Rockfin, please contact us and let us know where you're watching from. We do see comments from the Facebook live chat when it's happening. And I don't know if there's a chat on the Twitter for that, but it'll be interesting if someone comments on that. I'll let you know if I see one. But welcome if this is your first time watching Chicago Corner. We stream live on Tuesday and Friday evenings at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. I am Deep Dish Pizza enthusiast Edward Heller. I have a website called realdeepdish.com that shows you how to make Chicago styles of pizza at home. The first recipe that I managed to perfect, well, I'm always trying to improve it, but I'll say perfect, was the authentic Chicago-style deep dish pizza recipe. And if you want to check that out, head over to realdeepdish.com. And I've got articles in there. I got recipes. I got some humor. There might even be a funny video you can watch over there. Stella from Solaria, welcome. Glad that you're watching. Who else is watching? Miguel H, I know you're already here. And I don't know. Should I make you do the next word map puzzle? He's gonna say no. Okay. What are we doing next? What's next on the roll call of my show notes here? I got a million things on this show notes. I kept adding stuff because they kept updating the stories. Yeah, right. There's other perspectives here. Let me see if I've got the okay. Now we covered most of the video here. I wanted to cover a few things that were on Twitter and a couple other articles. Let me see if I can get some of these things up here without crashing my computer. If you guys want to stand by for just a second, I'm going to try and free up some memory here. Okay. Okay. So yeah, so like I said, we had people on social media and in other news platforms, actual like professional news organizations, deciding that they want to already blame Brandon Johnson for everything else that's happening in the city, even though he's not even actually mayor yet. So here's Crane's Chicago Business with an editorial that's behind a paywall, so I can't even read it, but I'm not going to bother anyway, because here's where I got that word. Weekend pandemonium requires better response from Brandon Johnson. And then here's Ugo Okere, who is the policy director for Raise the Floor and works in the 25th Ward. Says, while it is kind of funny to watch the online hysteria directed at someone who is literally not the mayor and has no control over things, it should be 100% clear that this is how it starts. There will be a frenzy of media and pundits trying to blame Brandon for everything. And what I think is interesting is when you click on the Crane Chicago Business the link with their story here for their editorial, and you look at quote tweets, there's a lot of interesting people going basically the same thing here. Yes, I am in deep dish water here, extra bulla, and that's not deep dish pizza water. Although if you use a lot of tomatoes, that can happen. So use them sparingly. Those of you who make pizza know what I'm talking about. All right. Warren says, Ed looks like he's the last guy alive on a submarine, and he's the cook. Well, you know, that doesn't mean I'm going to be cooking the people that aren't alive in the submarine. I'd probably take it to the surface and then go fishing, maybe. Yes, we've driven off the rails now. Thank you, Warren. Let me try to steer out of the ditch here for a second here. Yeah, Kathy. That's what I'm getting at here. Hold on, what? Who? I'm trying to hit buttons and you guys keep talking. Oh, mass media does not realize Brandon is not mayor yet. Cool your jets. Yes. No. Not going to eat people, Warren. Come on. Cannibalism is for volcanoes. Someday you'll understand. So yeah, Seibuchi says literally not the mayor yet. And Thembo Coles or Tembo, I don't know, says article behind a paywall. Johnson isn't even mayor yet, and people wonder why folks are so un and misinformed. Yeah, that's what we're saying. And this is the group of people he's supposed to reach out to in order to have a good term. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Here's yeah. Fresh Prince is wondering why the hell you're putting this on Brandon too. Okay. There was one I saw in here. Oh, that's what it was. There was hang on a second. I got the threads. Okay. This is one that caught my eye. It said it's from C. Tochi. Editorial: The Great Fire of 1871 requires a better response from Brandon Johnson. And then it goes further. Why hasn't he apologized to Bolandic for Bolandic's response to the blizzard that cost Bolandic the mayorship yet? I doubt Johnson will ever do anything about that Al Capone guy. Normally I'd have Jerry on the floor with these as I'm reading them, but I'll just have to settle for Warren and Miguel. Okay. I want to see Ed host a show by himself and all he does is talk to the chat like he's a captive on MST3K, but he has to talk to the chat. You son of a... You gotta be fucking kidding me. Hold on a second. I need to refill my beverage. Okay, that's better. All right, where did we leave off? Oh, yeah. I think that was it. Yeah, that's enough of those. Where did we leave off? I can close that tab. What else? Oh, yes. Here's where the stupid continues in the city of Chicago. Millennium Park teen curfew will be enforced after youth gatherings downtown turn violent, police say. From Block Club Chicago. Melody Mercado is busy this week. Millennium Park bans people younger than 18 from being in the park without an adult after 6 p.m. Thursday to Sunday. Bag checks at beaches are also planned. Come on. We know this doesn't work. Do we? Maybe it's... We've talked about reactionary stuff, and we've even talked about, like, you guys may recall there was, I believe it was a shooting that happened at Millennium Park. And then Lori Lightfoot did this whole curfew thing. Well, this is what it is. They're going to continue it. And it's dumb. But let me read into some of this story, and then we'll get to the other parts. The other parts of the dumb. Downtown, a curfew for minors at Millennium Park is back, and bag checks at beaches really will be enforced after youth gatherings this weekend downtown turned violent, police said Monday night. The announcement comes after 2 teens were wounded in shootings downtown and a third on the near south side as large groups gathered. You understand that it's not... I'm sighing because I don't know how how to explain to them that shootings are going to happen whether there's a large group of teens downtown or not. That's not to excuse any of the shootings. I'm saying they're not. It's not that if one happens, then the other happens. But okay. So, well, yeah, Kathy. Okay. Warren is correct. And also, I think Popeye's chicken's a little better because it's spicy. Kathy says they said they're going to enforce it, so it wasn't enforced. They might have relaxed the enforcement of that because a lot of people were complaining about the fact that it does nothing, and that scientifically, that's been scientifically proven that it does not work, which I was going to get into in a minute here. Okay. They're just rehashing all the stuff that we just went through. So let me get to the next thing here. Yes, this was the story from the Chicago Sun-Times that came out back in May of 2022. If it'll let me scroll properly. No, they always do this with the little pop-ups here. Research shows curfews won't work to curb crime among young people. An end to gun violence will take more effective gun regulation. Will take, my eyes are killing me right now. Will take more effective gun regulation and long-term solutions that focus on jobs, education, mental health counseling, and violence intervention. Who's talked about that stuff? I think we talked about that stuff. There's something very wrong in our city when a 16-year-old seeing the deadly toll of gun violence all around him writes about his life plans and ends with, "If I make it to 21." Trying to scroll here and it's not letting me. There's something even more wrong when that 16-year-old is gunned down in the city's showcase downtown park, allegedly by another teen, a 17-year-old. The weekend murder, this was from last May. The weekend murder of Shondell Holiday in Millennium Park is one of a recent spat of downtown shootings. Gun violence in the affluent and tourist-driven part. Again, they focus on this. They're focusing on the fact that tourists are coming downtown and that a lot of the rich people live down there and they got all these shops and stuff down there, and so they can't have people shooting up the place. Okay, I get it. So this is, and of course, all the big moneyed interests, they're the ones that scream the loudest. And so then, but unfortunately, they get the reactionary response instead of the proper response. So here, it says quick fixes like Mayor Lori Lightfoot's latest curfew restrictions for minors won't work to curb that violence among young people, research shows. Change will only come with a multifaceted approach. More effective gun regulation. Some people will question that. And long-term prevention that focuses on jobs, education, mental health counseling, and violence intervention. Yeah, violence intervention. Speaking of violence intervention, let's get to a little tweet that I found, a little tweet thread that I found that addresses some of this. Now, Sheila Betty is a lawyer. She's a clinical law professor at, I believe, Northwestern Law School. And she has a thread here and starts it with, it's not just that Chicago has failed to invest in Black and brown youth in their communities. CPD actively criminalizes those who know how to create peaceful and safe communities. she's working with a group called I Heart Chicago. Okay. We at I Heart Chicago and our fabulous students representing Good Kids Mad City and Mask, another organization. I don't remember what the acronym stands for, in a lawsuit forcing the CPD to recognize that peacekeeping is protected by the First Amendment and that CPD has to stop threatening, harassing, and arresting peacekeepers and folks engaged in positive loitering. Now, this is one of those interventionist tactics here. She says, far in advance of the warm weather, we asked the city and CPD to amend its policies and training so that youth peacekeepers could do their work without fear of arrest and police violence. Not only did the city refuse our request, she says, last Friday, it filed a motion to dismiss our lawsuit. Now, Friday is when all this stuff started, right? Imagine if you had youth intervention kids out there shutting some of this stuff down before it started, potentially. Just saying. She continues. It's impossible to overstate the importance and effectiveness of Good Kids Mad City and Mask's peacekeeping de-escalation work. Again, here's that word again, de-escalation. They stop harm before it starts without violence. They had one ask of Chicago in advance of this summer, let us peacekeep without threats of arrest and police violence. Now that's, imagine if you had a group like that downtown, or communicating with some of these kids on social media, or a combination of both. Kathy's got it. It says mothers and men against senseless killings. Yeah. There are organizations that are trying to stop the violence. They're in the city and they're being hampered by a number of forces, and apparently including law enforcement, who is not letting them help. Is that ego? Is that an ego problem there? I don't know. So let's go. Oh, let's get to the next thing here. I tried to put these in order so it wouldn't take me too long to go from one thing to the next, but it's just, like I said, this is kind of an evolving thing where it's like a lot of different angles from this. We had, there's a story. Oh, yeah. Okay. This is a tweet that just got on my radar. A person named Mallory Somera on Twitter says, when I heard about what was happening in Chicago this weekend, I started to look it up. And as soon as I saw the headlines, I thought, wait, let me wait to see what the Tribe says about this. And the Tribe with two eyes, they often have good perspectives on a lot of things happening in African-American community, in communities of color, and in the city in general. So I highly recommend checking out the Tribe, their website and their Twitter account, where they post a lot of their information. Now they have this is a story I'm not really going to go over, but I'm just going to so you guys know what I'm kind of referencing. Some of the perspectives I'm picking up are from things that I'm reading in articles like the Tribe. So when I open the show up trying to talk about what trends are, this is information. Some of that information I'm getting from the Tribe, and it comes from this article was titled, "Who Does Lightfoot's Curfew and Millennium Park Restrictions Really Protect?" And this was a thing that they published around the same time as that Sun-Times article, little after that. And so they've got stories from people, youth youth. Some of them are part of Good Kids Mad City, and they're talking about how some of the situations with law enforcement and the conflicts there have to do with trust. That's what I boiled it down to. They don't trust police because it's been generations for a lot of these kids. Generations of their families have had bad experiences with police. And so for them to want to try and find a bridge for that right now might be a little naive. And of course the youth have their own ideas about things. If you check out the Good Kids Mad City, I think it's GKMC 18 is the Chicago chapter for Good Kids Mad City on Twitter. And they have things like was it the Peace Book, and they also post links to other articles, some of which they're involved with, on how cities can start to reimagine public safety, city services, all kinds of other stuff. I'm not going to go over that tonight because it's going to take too long. But I thought you should see that. What's next? Are we done? Is there more? Yes, I think we're pretty much done talking about this one. So again, I'm not giving solutions here. I'm just trying to cover the story and understand that there are a lot of perspectives out there. We got some older people, they just want to crack down. They're totally pro-authoritarian, pro-police, pro-business, and how dare these kids come downtown kind of situation. And then of course there's the other coin. The other coin is the other side of the coin, which I don't feel qualified to really argue, because I'm just reading perspectives here, and I think it'd be helpful in a future show to have somebody just come out and talk about these things in an intelligent way. Now, Kathy wants me to sit down and shut up. I'm sitting already, but I ain't going to shut up because I still got a little more show to do. But we are going to talk about... Oh, actually, we are going to talk about solutions, but it's not going to be me talking about solutions. Here's Alderman Carlos Ramirez Rosa. He says, last year, Mayor Lightfoot beefed up Chicago's teen curfew and increased enforcement. As predicted by many experts, it had little impact. And he's got a link to a Block Club Chicago article that says that they mostly enforced it on the south and west sides. So it was, he says, that some local leaders and some in the Chicago media are now discussing a teen curfew as if one doesn't already exist is embarrassing. It shows those adults aren't serious about solving the issues facing our communities. And he says, return, it never went away, and it failed to prevent violence from occurring this past weekend. Unreal. So we've got... That's him talking about curfews. Here's Good Kids Mad City. They say in 2019, we had a beach party on 31st Street with over 1,000 teens in attendance. No shootings and no fights happened because it was organized as a peaceful event. Youth workers and unarmed security de-escalated any conflicts, and Kia's Queen and Corporate Cold brought the vibes. Here's a video.
I'm Queen Key, so you know the classic. Yeah, I'ma make it rash. Throw it in the bag, throw it in the basket.
Okay, that was fair use. I'm hoping that we're not going to get demonetized for that, but just gonna So like there they are. They got people playing music. They got some performers going on. They had a gathering. They kept it peaceful. Youth can do it. The youth gets organized. They want to have a good time. It doesn't automatically mean it's going to erupt into violence. Okay. So I think it was important to show that perspective there. Now we got other people in social media that I think you should get to know. And while I close a couple tabs here, resident historian Six Figadilla, also known as Sherman Dilla Thomas, says, "Don't waste your time tweeting me problems. We all see them. Solutions. Tweet solutions. How about giving non-for-profit, my tongue is tying here. How about giving non-for-profits free access to Park District field houses at night? Park closes at 8. The not-for-profit takes over until 7 a.m. Clearly, they're already outside as is." Preservation Chicago says, in response to that, "In every neighborhood, we need places where kids are welcome and can work to achieve and then demonstrate mastery. In every neighborhood, we need basketball courts, skate parks, roller rinks, bowling alleys, dance clubs, etc. No time to waste. Let's start now." George Gardiakos says, "I think if we had a Chicago dance music conference, we could turn kids on to all the business opportunities in dance music." Okay. I mean, yeah. See, we don't always have to think that social media is a gigantic cesspool. And yes, many sides of social media can be, but also it's a tool for collaboration. It's a tool for communicating. You throw your ideas out there. Not always great ideas, but they're ideas. Here, we got another one from Sherman Dilla Thomas, I think. He says, "Some of us can remember midnight basketball." I mean, basketball's not always the solution. But yeah. He says, "When that was around downtown, never had these issues. What happened to Park District lockdowns? The ceasefire was working." He says, "Rahm cut him out. Decisions made in 2013 are why we are here today. We can do better." See, because he's the historian. He knows. He remembers. Now, Fran the Man brings up the point. Social media has made it much easier to organize large group gatherings. Dynamics have changed since 2013 also. That's fair. That's a fair thing to say. Doesn't necessarily mean that that having that ability to organize is a bad thing, but obviously it does make it easier for people to communicate. All right. Not every idea from Six Figadilla is gold, but I think he's trying. He says every, not a select few, but every 3rd and 4th grade CPS class should have 40 hours of CPD in-class interactions per school year. The respect on both sides would change instantly. I think some of you may remember, I think I mentioned in the show notes, any of you old enough to remember when they had police officers coming to the elementary schools and they called them officer friendly? I think that's what Sherman is thinking about there. And it might be too late to do that kind of interaction. Plus, the Good Kids Mad City have a different perspective on that. They say, "We love and respect you, but this ain't it. Students fought hard to get cops out of CPS. Let's not go backwards. It's about reimagining safety and eliminating racist systems and institutions and not dealing with biases or individual cops." And then they have a link there to the advancementproject.org/we-came-to-learn. And let me copy that one and see if I can paste it in the... Of course, it's a Twitter shortcut. Hold on a second. Let me get this one in there. I'm trying not to rush too badly. I hope the pace isn't too bad here. But yeah, here's the link that the Good Kids Mad City is posting up there. They're trying to teach, which is cool when you have teens who want to teach adults sometimes. Sometimes you can learn things from the youth that you wouldn't necessarily think you could. So yeah, not everybody had the best experience with an officer friendly, obviously. But I'm just saying I think that's the perspective that Sherman Thomas was coming from there. Okay. All right. And then we had some of you remember Anjanette Young. She's the one who police falsely broke into her home, raided her home, I should say. She says, and she's a social worker, by the way, in case you weren't aware. She says, I don't generally comment on the issues related to the youth gathering in the downtown area of Chicago, but here's my 2 cents for what it's worth. She says, number one, it's not always the parents' fault. As someone who was a single parent and did all I could to raise my son to respect me, authority, and his community, where there were times that did not always happen. It takes a village, she says. And I think she's got that right. You can't, I mean, yeah, parents, if you can rein your kids in, if you think they're misbehaving, if you want to raise them to at least be good to others, regardless of how you feel about the police, to respect other people's stuff, maybe. Respect other people is the most important one. Be kind, those basic kind of things. That can go a long way. But I understand, like Anjanette Young said, it's not always the parents' fault. Here's number 2 from Anjanette Young. She says, I think if you offer an opinion, you should also offer a suggestion to the solution. My suggestion is we should hold a youth summit in Millennium, she means Millennium Park, where they enjoy going, and have 2 conditions to them attending. A, they must agree not to bring any guns or weapons on them. And B, and they must agree to complete a short survey telling the city what's important to them as the youth of our city and what they would like to see in their own neighborhoods. Okay, I don't know how thrilled they'll be about homework or filling out a survey, but okay, I can see where you're going with that. She says that parallel to that thing that attracts them to the downtown area. She says, let me read that again. Telling the city what's important to them as the youth of our city and what they would like to see in their own neighborhoods that parallel to the thing that attracts them to the downtown area. I am not saying they should not be allowed to be in the downtown area. I'm saying give them something in their own communities which would make them less likely to hang out downtown and cause a problem. Okay. I mean, at a certain point when you get any kind of crowd, whether it's adult or youth, a percentage of that are bound to be problematic. Go to any sports event. You'll know what I mean. She says, if we can bring NASCAR to the downtown, we can create a youth summit to hear from our youth and start to create a plan to invest in them. That's my say for anyone who wants to listen. I'm committed to being a part of this process. That who's with me? Let's make it happen. Okay. Yeah. I'm glad she spoke up about that. So, not everybody realizes she tweeted this. And when I saw it, I'm like, okay, let's talk about that. Let's make sure that people on Chicago Corner know what she had to say. Okay, what else do I have in here? Oh, did I get the Preservation Chicago one already? Let's see if this one's different. Oh, yeah, this is the other one from Preservation Chicago. They said, repurpose closed Chicago public schools into community centers to give kids a safe, welcome place to go at night. Roller rink and hoops in the gym, music and movies in the auditorium, hoops and skate park and playground. Leverage the power of preservation for healthy communities. Of course, they're going to say that. They're Preservation Chicago. So there we are. There we are with social media's thoughts on some of the solutions. It's not all the solutions. I think there's a lot of conversation still yet to go about that. And I don't know if we're going to cover that on Friday when Jerry returns, but I'm happy to talk about this some more. So, but let's get back to the thing that I warned you about. It is it's turning into, if I can find the right thing, it's turning into the Ray Lopez show here on Chicago Corner, and I don't know why. I am talking like a guy from one of those Chicago movies where they have the thick Chicago accent. But let me load up this thing here, because I was following this, was it earlier today? That was, no, that was yesterday. And then there were some developments. But let me first see, what do I got here? Okay, I will get to your chats in a moment, but here we are. I'm going to bring this up on the screen here. And I got to take Ray down for a second. Erin Haggerty, who does she work for? She's she works for Daily Line. She's a reporter for the Daily Line. She was looking at the schedule for legislation for City Council. She says, looks like resolutions to honor retiring/outgoing aldermen are starting to drop. A separate proposal from Alderman Ray Lopez of the 15th Ward to declare May 15th of this year as Alderman Ed Burke Day in Chicago. Now, some of you may not be aware that May 15th is also the new mayor inauguration day. So that's some cojones on Ray Lopez here to do that. And so Heather Sharon, who I believe she's WTTW. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, WTTW. She says, if passed, this would mean that the day Brandon Johnson's second black man to be elected Chicago mayor is inaugurated would be officially a city holiday honoring an indicted politician who helped lead the fight against the city's first black mayor, Harold Washington. So yeah, total dick move on Mr. Lopez. And, where were we going with this? Oh, yeah, hold on a second. So there's a quote tweet for this post. Anthony Moser says, how about May 30th? And we call it Alderman Ed Burke Indictment Day. And then, and then I saw this. From ComEd's Business Models Corruption, also known as Nacko Ball on Twitter. So he says he is a deeply unserious oatmeal defiler. And I was like, what? I said, is there an oatmeal story I hadn't heard? And then he posts this from 2020, Ray Lopez. says toast and oatmeal kind of day today. Now, I like to have a bowl of oatmeal from time to time. But have you looked at this? Okay, the toast, I'm just going to ignore the toast for now. I don't care about the toast. But look at this bowl of oatmeal. Does that look even close to fully cooked yet? I mean, look at all the how watery these oats are. What did he do? He put oats and water in the microwave for what, 30 seconds? And he thinks those are done? This is, I mean, I said, thank you for that disturbing visual. He says, it haunts my dreams / breakfast. Now, I could, let's see. Do I have a thing? Oh, yeah, okay. So it was my proposal that, well, okay, this is the guy we keep bringing up on the screen who's got the wheelbarrow. And I'm thinking, okay, we need an upgrade. So here you go. See, it's perfect. He's swimming in his own oatmeal inside the wheelbarrow. I think this is a keeper here. I think Jerry's going to love this when he comes back on Friday. So again, we don't know why Ray Lopez likes his oats this way, but it's very, very disturbing to me. And I just want to, let's see. Can I find out? Do I have a, I think I quote retweeted this, but I got to find it. Hang on a second. Is it here? Here we go. This is the one. I said, look, I get that non-instant oatmeal can sometimes be difficult to prepare quickly when you're in a hurry to get out of the house to go block legislation, but #learn to oatmeal. And yes, I'm using oatmeal as a verb here. Oh, did I break up, Kathy? Okay, it looks like they're trying to shut me down. It's Big Oats are trying to shut me down, Kathy. Why is he in a wheelbarrow? Kathy is asking. Kathy, I'm not sure. We found a photo of him actually legitimately sitting in a wheelbarrow. And so we decided to take advantage of that. Okay, Warren says we're good. Maybe it was a little hiccup on your end, Kathy. I'm hoping everyone is enjoying the broadcast this evening. I think we're close to the end of the show, although I got a couple more things I want to talk about. But yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess we'll close up this story because Ed Burke Day proposed. This is from the Chicago Sun-Times. If they'll let me look at the story instead of loading whatever ad they need. Here we go. Ed Burke Day proposed, then pulled at Burke's request. Probably told Ray to knock it off. For much of the day Monday, Alderman Ray Lopez defended his decision to introduce a resolution declaring May 15th Alderman Edward M. Burke Day in Chicago by Fran Spielman. And there he is. And I'm wondering, hold on, is this photo taken? Oh, this photo's from 2021. We don't have to, okay. After a political uproar that dragged on for hours, 15th Ward Alderman Ray Lopez on Monday abandoned efforts to declare May 15th, Inauguration Day for Mayor-elect Brandon Johnson, as, quote, Alderman Ed M. Burke Day in Chicago. Lopez said he pulled the plug at the request of Burke, the indicted and now retiring city council member who apparently had no interest in ending his record 54-year tenure amid a political controversy to match the legal quagmire he is in. What did I say? Quagmire? Yeah, quagmire. For much of the day Monday, Lopez had defended his decision to introduce the Burke Day resolution. Never mind that the 54-year reign that makes Burke the longest-serving alderperson in Chicago history is ending under the dark cloud of a sweeping federal indictment for racketeering and extortion that accuses the former chairman of the council's finance committee of trying to muscle business for his private law firm. Lopez was determined to honor Burke. Why did that just jump on me here? Here we go. Lopez was determined to honor Burke for his outsized footprint over legislation impacting everyday life in Chicago. That includes a trailblazing ban on indoor smoking. Okay, I'm all right with that. And Burke's campaign to mandate carbon monoxide detectors. Do I have one? I better go check and see if I've got a carbon monoxide detector. In homes and defibrillators in airport. Defibrillators are good. And his help in championing a ban on phosphates. Now, I know he's not talking about the old soda fountain beverages when he says phosphates. Now, my dad would have an issue with that. There's this thing where they would take soda water and chocolate syrup, and they would basically foam it up, and they'd call that a phosphate. It's, I guess it would be kind of like a dairy-free milkshake, sort of. It's just a foamy beverage there. But again, we're driving off into the ditch here. But would you expect no less? Of course not. All right. This is great. This is Lopez. He's a card, right? He says, until I hear guilty, I'm not going to focus on that part. It's a historic day when Ed Burke will not be in the chair. He's seriously a big Ed Burke fan. I'm focusing on all the things he's done for the good of the city. This resolution will mark the occasion accordingly, said Lopez, Burke's longtime ally and city council seatmate. Yeah, see, they're buddies. So he's going to miss him when he's gone. There are plenty of days in the calendar approved by city council for a whole host of individuals. Fred Hampton was honored not too long ago by city council, despite the objections of several members of the body. Whatever, Ray. The council has a choice that they can make. We'll leave it to them to make that decision. Well, then why did you pick the 15th, you jerk? You know what day the 15th is. Why single out Burke for a special day when all other alderpersons retiring this year simply get honorary resolutions? Quote, he's the alderman who has served the most, has had the biggest imprint, in my opinion, on many of the things that Chicagoans see and are interacting with in their daily lives over the past 5 and... What just happened here? I just jumped. Hold on a second. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but the browser is acting a little wonky for me right now, and I need to get to the part here. Okay. Oh, here it is. Okay. That was weird. Okay. He's the alderman who has served the most, has had the biggest imprint, in my opinion, on many of the things that Chicagoans see and are interacting with in their daily lives over the past 5.5 decades of service. And his legacy is more than just how he's leaving. but what he's done in those 5.5 decades. And we have to remember that. That's why this resolution was introduced and why I think it's appropriate, Lopez said. Jason Lee, a senior advisor to Johnson's mayoral campaign and transition team, refused to comment on the resolution. Yeah. Alderman Carlos Ramirez Rosa of the 35th. He's my alderman now. Some of you may remember I got drawn out of my ward, which used to be the 33rd, because of that weird puzzle map that they did. It's kind of weird. They took a notch out of the 33rd ward, including the old alderman, Dick Mell, who lives not far from me. He's also been drawn out of his old ward, which I thought was kind of funny and super petty. But I digress. Carlos Ramirez Rosa, chair of the Socialist Caucus and a Johnson ally, called the proposed Burke Day resolution, quote, fully inappropriate to the point of being tone deaf. Yeah, super tone deaf. Ed Burke's nickname is the Velvet Hammer, says Nimesh Patel. Now, doesn't a velvet hammer still hit pretty hard? Doesn't that hurt? And doesn't the metal part of the hammer just kind of go right through the velvet? Is that like a one-time use thing? I'm overthinking the velvet hammer, aren't I? Yes, Ed, you're overthinking the velvet hammer. Quote, I would not be opposed to a resolution honoring his time in council similar to resolutions that are being adopted for the other retiring aldermen, but naming the 15th as Ed Burke Day is buffoonish and entirely a step too far, Ramirez Rosa said. The 15th is inauguration. What the hell? Why does it jump like this? The 15th is the inauguration of this new city council. We'll have a new mayor. We'll have new council members. It's a time to celebrate a new day and to turn a page on the past. Where did that? This, I swear, I got to get an ad blocker in this thing because that's what's screwing me up here. It's fully inappropriate to name that day as Ed Burke Day. It's about celebrating the future of our city, not celebrating someone with a corrupt past. And there it is. For hours Monday, the Burke Day resolution was ridiculed on social media. When Burke got wind of it, he called Lopez and asked him to pull the plug. He didn't explain why. Lopez agreed. Yeah, he didn't explain why. Because Lopez was being a fool, is why. I don't know. I don't know, man. It's a little goofy. Just a little goofy. So once again, Ray in the wheelbarrow. Ray in the wheelbarrow with oatmeal. I think the oatmeal adds something, to be honest with you. I think it's, he's ride or die in the wheelbarrow with his watery oatmeal. And I think when it all comes down to everything in the end, I think that's what's really going to make him happy. Come on, Ray. Just go watery oatmeal, wheelbarrow ride off into the sunset, man. Come on. All right, what's next? Wait, is there more? I do have more in the show notes. Quick update. I think, yeah. Some of you may recall that April 18th was the last day they were going to be counting the mail-in ballots for the Chicago runoff election. And this update, I think this update has all the numbers from this morning or from late last night. Brandon Johnson picked up more votes. So his final totals or final percentage was 52.16% of the vote. So if anybody was counting on a Hail Mary to get to do a reversal for Paul Vallis. No, man. Nope. Sorry. More people for Brandon. That's how that works. Okay. There was dude, I don't know. I was noticing a trend. I think a lot of you are probably seeing it too. If you give me a second, I'm going to close a few tabs. Maybe we can speed up my stream just a little bit here. Okay. This happened in Iowa today in the morning. The Iowa Senate passed a child labor law before dawn. The bill lets 14-year-olds work 6-hour night shifts, 15-year-olds work on assembly lines, and 16 and 17-year-olds serve alcohol. They voted on this at 4:52 in the morning. It's still got to go past Iowa's House, but this is not the only story like this going on in the nation, and so I thought I would bring your attention to this. Child labor laws exist for a reason, and this kind of stuff. I mean, what was the name of that book? The Jungle. A lot of us had to read in was it high school? About all the kids working in factories and child labor stuff. We're going back that way because corporations and greedy people don't want to pay adults a living wage. We got to knock that shit off. Yeah, I'm swearing. Because we got to knock that shit off. Enough is enough. Now, what I thought was an interesting response to this was this tweet. Kyle Johnson 12 says, and I don't know if this is actually true that a 12-year-old kid said this, but I love to think that it is. I'm sure the same states allowing kids the freedom to work will also allow us the freedom to join a labor union. To which PJ's Wes Matthews Stan account, or Emergency P, says, sick 'em, Kyle. Because that's it, really. You guys, some of you may remember the movie, what is it called? Newsies. Christian Bale, I think, was the star of that one before he was Batman, when he was a little younger. It's about a real newspaper boy strike that happened many, many moons ago. The youth, if forced to work, will be smart enough to try and form a labor union. And it's not going to go well for you, corporations. So, again, knock that shit off. What do we have? Oh yeah, let's just go over this story really quick because it's relevant and related. This comes from the Press Herald. This is from April 11th. It's commentary. It says, we have a child labor crisis, not a worker shortage. There's a reason employers are hiring children in increasing numbers. With less information, less power, and fewer options, they are easier to exploit. This comes from Jessica Martinez and Marcy Goldstein-Gelb from an outlet called Progressive Perspectives. Again, this is published in pressherald.com. Should a 13-year-old be working a hazardous job at night? Packer Sanitation Services, Inc. apparently thinks so. In 2022, the company hired a 13-year-old child from Guatemala as a night shift cleaner at a Grand Island, Nebraska meatpacking plant. The facility is owned by JBS, one of the world's largest food companies. The girl's employment, quote, came to an abrupt end after a nurse at Walnut Middle School found chemical burns, blisters, and open wounds on her hands and one knee. The Washington Post report. So even the Washington Post is picking up on this. The injuries arose from exposure to hazardous chemicals used to clean the blood, fat, and animal parts that remain after a day on the killing floor. Seriously, we're in the jungle territory. The book, Upton Sinclair. If you haven't read it, this is nuts. Nobody, child or adult, should ever suffer chemical burns, blisters, and open wounds at work. Such injuries are preventable with proper training, equipment, and the full involvement of workers in creating and enforcing safety standards. But we can't expect a 13-year-old girl new to the United States to know about the safety data sheets that are supposed to educate workers about how to handle toxic chemicals. Hell, most adults probably aren't even familiar with those when they're working in those places, if we're being honest. And it's unlikely that a young teenager would know how to use personal protective equipment to stay safe in a hazardous environment. There's a reason employers are hiring children in increasing numbers with less information, less power, and fewer options. They are easier to exploit. And the story goes on, but you guys can read the rest of that on your own time. There is a link to that story in the show notes. Let me jump over to the next thing here. What else is going on here? Yes, Kathy, they do. Exploitation is the name of the game, apparently. So we gotta teach our children well in more ways than one. But I guess we'll get to here's another sort of national story, or it could be an interplanetary story, depending on how you feel about it. Superman is 85 today. 85 years ago today, this guy leapt 1/8 of a mile onto newsstands, from Mark T. Nobleman on Twitter, and directly into the pop culture pantheon, smashing cars and taking names. If you love or loathe superheroes, you have Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster to thank/blame. And here's this is the cover of Action Comics #1 from the June 1938 publishing date. But today is the day that hit the newsstands. Pretty cool. Let me flip. What else? What else do we have? This is bound to get us a copyright strike, but we'll try, because this was posted publicly, I think. Ooh, that's pretty cool. All right, I'm just gonna. cut the sound in and out on this so that we don't get copyright, because this is fair use here. It's pretty cool. They're showing all the different iterations of Superman throughout the years. There's the guy from the old black and white TV series. They're going to the different artist renditions of Superman. That's pretty cool. There's Bizarro. There's this of the Super Family with the Superboy and everything. All right, I think we hit the loop on there, but that was pretty cool. Okay, and then what else? Oh, and one more little Superman thing. This is the plaque outside the house where Superman was created. A tweet from Brad Meltzer. Okay. He says, my favorite line, they didn't just give us the world's first superhero, they gave us something to believe in. And this is the plaque. I'll read the whole thing. This is the house where Superman was born. Writer Jerry Siegel, 1914 to 1996, was a teenage boy who lived here during the Great Depression. one of the toughest economic times for Cleveland and the country. Jerry wasn't popular. He was a dreamer, and he knew how to dream big. With his best friend, artist Joe Shuster, these two boys created a bright fantasy world of spaceships, strange planets, and a city where a young man in red and blue tights could leap over tall buildings in a single bound. They called him Superman. They didn't just give us the world's first superhero, they gave us something to believe in. So I thought that was pretty cool. And we get to we're heading toward the end of the show here. I wanted to do a couple updates, but first let's jump over to the live chat and see what you're all saying. Yes, Kathy, that article should be in the show notes. I will double check after the show, make sure it's in there. I'm pretty sure it's in there. Okay. Yes. Sebastiano says they would rather pay children than give people decent quality of life. America, democracy, freedom. Yeah. Capitalist pigs exploit youth. Yeah, again, that's what I mean. We're talking about Superman right now. That comes out of the Great Depression. I've been calling what we're currently experiencing the greatest depression. People just don't realize that that's what we're in right now, because things are getting progressively worse, more difficult to afford things, harder for people to get living wages, roof over their head, affordable health care, all the stuff that they were having problems with back in the Great Depression. And we seem to be on the verge of a world war, if you ask some people. So, not completely unrelated to the Superman thing. Okay. Quick update. This is actually this is a good update. Little Village discount mall vendors to move into vacant Gage Park Kmart. City previously suggested the vendors move into a closed CVS near the mall, but it was too small. This new space is large enough, vendors say, and the city is giving them $500,000 to ease the transition. Some of you may remember that this Kmart was going to be used, I think they may even mention it in here, was going to be used as a migrant shelter, but then they decided that wasn't going to serve their needs. But the discount mall vendors seem to think that this is going to work for them. So that's good news. It says approximately 40 vendors have been given until March 28th to move out of the Little Village Mall at 3115 West 26th Street after the leases expired and a judge refused an emergency injunction to prevent them from being locked out. Several vendors had moved out or were in the process of moving when city officials were able to negotiate another 6-week extension with mall owner Novak Construction. Discount mall vendors were originally offered the chance to move into the CVS, but vendors agreed the former pharmacy at 26th and Pulaski didn't have enough space for everyone. The former Kmart at Kedzie and 51st is an ideal location because of the approximate 120,000 square feet of space and large parking lot, vendors said. They said they expect to be moved in by May 15th. So that's good news. What else? Oh, yeah. Some people on social media were posting when they saw that this place, the Freeze, the lot on which it stands is for sale. And someone at Block Club looked into this. So this was Mina Bloom looked into this. Says the Freeze, and for some of you who don't know, it's I believe is it Ashland? No, hold on. It's Armitage. Yeah, that's right. Armitage and I believe Armitage in California, sort of. 2815 West Armitage. Yeah, so they had just the Freeze had recently just opened for summer service now, so you can go there and get, the typical things you get at the freeze, ice cream, milkshakes, that kind of stuff. I think they do sandwiches too. The freeze is for sale, but owner seeks buyer to keep the beloved summer spot alive. Owner Tony Zarconi, say that 5 times fast. Owner Tony Zarconi. No, I'm not going to say it 3 more times. Said he's looking for the right developer to carry on the freeze's legacy. Quote, there's no need to panic. It's not going to close. It's going to continue. Okay. It's longtime owner Tony Zarconi put the property on the market Monday for $1.2 million. That's a lot of money for a lot over there. Although, it's the freeze, but also the empty lot that's next to it. I think, are they using it for parking right now? Possibly. But it's prime real estate over there. So we'll see what happens with that. It says, though the listing calls for a, quote, creative developer who can capitalize on the 5,000 square foot site's, quote, many possibilities, Zarconi told Block Club he's looking for a developer who will keep the freeze open and hopefully fix it up to modern standards. There's no need to panic. It's not going to close. It's going to continue, Zarconi said. So when it warms up again, I may head over there, stop in and get a milkshake, because milkshakes are delicious. Was that it? Do I have more? I don't have more. Although Kira McCown had sent me a thing, and let's see if I can dig that up. It's going to be a quick update if I can pull up my email with the notice there. It has to do with the ball continuing to roll downhill for ranked choice voting. But since I closed my email to try and save memory, it could take a second for me to pull this email up. So stand by, ladies and gentlemen. And while we're waiting for that to come up, I'd just like to tell you that Chicago Corner, along with its wonderful Patreon supporters, is also sponsored by P.L. Sullivan's International Chicken Wing and Currency Exchange. P.L. Sullivan's, behind that one alley, the one. My email's not loading. So we'll follow up with this on Friday. But it sounds like Illinois, the state of Illinois, is starting to get ranked choice voting rolling. I don't know how long it's going to take for them to do it legislatively, though, which is why I'm always for ballot initiatives if you can get those happening, because it's not necessarily in the best interest of people who typically lean toward one party or another to get a third party easier access to the ballot or to get easier access to being elected. So ranked choice voting is for sure a much more fair way to do elections. But I don't know if it's going to be able to make its way through legislatively. We can hope and we can apply pressure, and I think it's a good thing that people are trying to do it. And I look forward to having guests on. Yes, Jerry, still here. But not for much longer. It looks like we're heading toward 2 hours here, and I'm about to wrap it up. I don't know if you want to jump in, Jerry. I think Jerry's only got his mobile phone right now. His laptop got abducted by aliens. And I don't know if they're going to give it back, but we could ask politely. What's left in my show notes? Oh wait, that's right. We're at the end of the show notes. Hold on, let me pull up that email from Kira if I can and see if I can read that thing. Oh, here we go. Okay. The update was, okay. This comes from Fairvote, Illinois. Sarah from Fairvote says there's an exciting development happening statewide for ranked choice voting in Illinois. The General Assembly is considering allowing ranked choice voting for presidential primaries. This could be a powerful upgrade to how we nominate the presidential candidates and would introduce RCV across the entire state. Ooh, we got an infiltrator in the show. That looks like Jerry though. Oh,
yeah,
there.
Be connection.
Hey, Jerry.
Again. Sounds like you're underwater, Ed. It might be the connection in the car.
It could be the car connection, but hang on one second.
You son of a
bitch. Well, listen, I'm sorry I couldn't join you tonight.
Welcome to the party, pal.
But as you probably mentioned, I haven't been able to tune in yet because I had a reunion dinner tonight and my laptop's still at the shop. So hopefully I'll have it back Thursday so I can join everybody along with that on Friday.
Well, I think I held down the fort here, and I had the support of everyone in the live chat, so we managed to make do tonight. It was kind of a rough one to go through with that one story that we opened up the show with, but I think we managed to get through a lot of the conversation. But if you want to follow up on any of this stuff on Friday, I'm happy to talk about some of this stuff again, because some of these are ongoing situations. I know that the city is going to be dealing with teens showing up in droves downtown for a while now, especially when the weather gets warmer. And so we're going to have to follow things like how the media is covering it, how social media is reacting to it, how politicians are acting with it. And so I can imagine that this is not the first and only time we're going to be talking about it.
I couldn't make out a word you said, Ed. It sounds like you're underwater, but I'll take your word for it, whatever you did say, if you guys can hear me clear.
Okay. We can hear you fine, Jerry. I'm hoping that my stream is coming through. The audience seems to think that my stream was pretty good today, although it's possible it's crapping out toward the end of the show like it likes to do. But we do realize you're mobile, and we thank you for joining us at the end of the show. While I try and figure out the buttons to get us out of here. And I'm hoping everyone can tune in on Friday, where Jerry will have a fresh connection, hopefully a repaired computer.
We'll see. So let me speak to that really quickly. You know, I took my laptop in Saturday with Jerry's laptop update to make sure that the hardware was in order, because I was having a battery charging problem that was probably complicating the upstream. You know, with the upstream, it was probably causing a problem. So I haven't gotten my laptop back yet, although they claim that they went to the polls on Saturday afternoon and fixed the upstream. I just have no way of running a hardwired speed test now. But we're going to find out when I get my laptop back. And if I tune in, or if I do a speed test Thursday night, Ed, and I'm getting under 4 again, there's going to be hell to pay. But hopefully they did follow through and repair whatever was at the pole that was causing the weird anomalies with speed. Because I don't want to do a choppy broadcast. I want to just do a good show and not have people wondering why is this all these technical difficulties. We have a lot to talk about and share, and believe me, it's as frustrating for me as it is for people who have to witness the technical difficulties. But hopefully that'll be worked out.
Yeah, well, I hope it works out too. But you know, if all else fails, maybe we'll have to send you over to Kathy Power's house, because she's got a really nice upstream. Hers is faster than mine right now.
Okay.
If it's cool with Kathy, that is.
I'm sorry, Ed. I can't. It's like this is how you sound. If you guys can hear me clearly, this is how Ed is sounding to me. It's like you're underwater, and it's not your fault. It's just I'm on my 4 or 5G connection on my phone right now. I'm not even near a Wi-Fi since I'm driving. So I'm going to watch the rebroadcast though to catch up, so I'm ready for Friday on what you guys talked about tonight. And Ed, as always, I'm sure you did a great job, and I'm looking forward to watching when I get home on my iPad. And I'll see you all Friday.
Drive safe, Jerry.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Ed.
Okay.